What's up, guys? Suckle King here, bringing you my draft battles for the TTM Summer Showdown Tournament number 2. I'll be having my team builders and my battles for my 3 games in my first round pool. And if I win 2 out of the 3, I'm most likely guaranteed. If I win all 3, I'm guaranteed to advance. If I win 2 out of 3, I'm probably safe to advance, but not necessarily. So my first matchup is versus Lux, and before I go into the team there, I got some exciting stuff going on the channel pretty soon, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content, and I appreciate any feedback you guys have. Now, Lux's team from most to least threatening is Tornadus T, Ferrothorn, Greninja, Zygarde 50 with Z moves, Slowbro, Ampharos, Megalodino, and Fernape. Tornadus T versus my team, which again consists of Mew, Clefable, Suicune, Greninja, Infernape, Palisand, Mega Scizor, and Alolan Raichu. I really don't have a defensive answer for Tornadus T. I don't have a Rock Resist besides Flying Resist besides Raichu, and it's not going to be taking it too well unless I'm Assault Vest, but I don't know if Alolan Raichu is the best matchup this game, maybe because he has 2 waters, so it's an okay bring, but it's not going to be taking Hurricanes more than twice. Ferrothorn is pretty annoying, and I need to dedicate a lot of fire coverage on my team, otherwise it's going to wreak havoc and be super annoying because I don't have like a grass immunity to Leech Seed. Greninja's annoying just because it gets T-Spikes, and I don't have a poison type in my team so he can set them up, though Mega Scizor is a pretty good answer to remove those hazards unless he has Hidden Power Fire. And Zygarde is pretty threatening with Z moves, especially with like Z Earthquake. And he can afford to run Earthquake instead of 1,000 arrows this game because I don't have a grounded, I have a levitating ground resist. He might bring in case I run Air Balloon predicting that, but I would be pretty crazy on my part. Slowbro, okay matchup. Ampharos, I feel like has a solid matchup actually this game over like Infernape. Because for Infernape I have Mew, Clefable, Suicune, Greninja outspeeds. So I feel like it doesn't have the greatest matchup unless he really wants something to take on to make a Scizor. So I feel like 3 months to do pretty well versus Lux's team is and I played Lux before, by the way. He's a good battler. I believe he beat me in one of the qualifiers for March Madness All-Stars, but I still got it anyway, so that was all good. But Clefable does really well versus team. Just fairy coverage plus something to hit the Ferrothorn, and I should be in pretty good shape. Scizor is a good defogger in his matchup because his hazard setters are most likely going to be Ferrothorn and Greninja, and Scizor could take those on no problems. And Mew it's going to come every match, I would imagine, unless if it's like a mono dark team or something, but like an offensive set with like Ice, Fire, and Psychic, that hits this team pretty hard, especially with like Rock Polish and maybe Munium Z. Or maybe like a defensive set to take on like the Zygarde, or maybe special defensive to take on the Tornadus T, which I have problems with otherwise. They'd be pretty good options. So the first Pokemon you can see on my screen right here is going to be a Calm Mind Clefable with a max HP, max defense, Soft Boil, Moonblast, Flamethrower, Magic Guard ability. Unaware would be nice to take on the Zygarde a little bit better, but I feel like it's a lot nicer in case he does run Toxic Spikes and I don't defog him away. Then I have an immunity to that. Also could take Leech Seeds from Ferrothorn, no problems. Though I don't really want to take Gyro Balls if possible, obviously. But Flamethrower is there to KO the Ferrothorn. No need to risk the Fire Blast because both are going to be 2 KOs anyway. Unless he's like Akaberry, then it might be a 3 KO if I don't have any boosts. But yeah, if I can set up a couple Calm Minds, he really doesn't have any way to stop it. Like, Zygarde will do a decent damage with Z move. Tornadus T can taunt. Ferro's not going to be doing a whole lot with Gyro Ball. Infernape's not going to do much. Greninja is not going to do a whole lot. They both have Gunk Shot. It's not going to be too much damage. Slowbro can't really beat me. Nor can Megalodino or Ampharos. So the next Pokemon I have to try to complement Clefable Sweeping is a Scizor. Bullet Punch, Roost, Defog, U-Turn. Pretty standard set. Maybe a little bit weird EVs. Which is max HP, a lot of defense, 52 attack with a plus nature and 4 special defense. So the Scissor Spread allows me to live 2 Choice Banded Earthquakes from Zygarde because Choice Bandit also does pretty well diet. I expect because it is a Z Captain, he'll run Z Earthquake. But I can take 2 Choice Bandit Earthquakes and roost off the damage and be alright. No problems. The 4 special defense with the max HP allows me to live a Life Orb, Pin, Power, Fire from Greninja, which is cool. And then in return, I can U-turn, kill it. It might not be the best trade-off to kill Greninja with Scizor, or to kill Greninja with Scizor if I'm like down to less than 10%. But that's an okay trade-off, especially if he doesn't get Toxic Spikes in return. And the rest in attack. It also allows me to Twig KO Tornadus T after rocks with 2 bullet punches. Next I have Mew, which is, I was debating offense or defensive, but with a defensive spread with Stealth Rocks, Ice Beam, Psychic Roost, I mainly wanted to find rocks in this team, and I felt like Mew was the best candidate for that. Ice Beam to hit the Zygarde and the Tornadus. A Psychic is there for the Infernape, and that's pretty much it. I guess the Aldino and Ampharos, alright. Doesn't hit the Slowbro or the Greninja a whole lot, but I will have Toxic Spike later on this team, so that should help alleviate that problem there. But a lot of defense. It allows me to live a +1 Z Earthquake from Zygarde, and I threw the rest in the special defense to hopefully take Tornadus T Hurricanes a little bit better. The next Pokemon I have is Greninja. Oh, my bad. Greninja with Focus Sash, Toxic Spikes, Ice Beam, Scald, and Spikes. It's probably not going to be my lead, however. I'll have another lead later on this match, but I expect I'll be able to keep a Focus Sash intact for Greninja with my Defog Mega Scizor. And he does not have a grounded Poison, and his Defogger or Rapid Spinner would be the Tornadus T. And I highly expect that to be a Taunt, Hurricane, U-Turn, Heat Wave, Life Orb set, because that really handles my team well. Taunt is nice to prevent a Mew or Clefable for Roost or Soft Spoil spamming, Heat Wave to kill the Mega Scizor, and then Hurricane for general damage. So this spread will allow me to outspeed it by 1 point, and hopefully do a lot of damage with Ice Beam. I don't know if I kill it after rocks. I would do over 60-65% with it though. And Scald for general utility and hopefully getting some burns. Can't touch the Ferrothorn with this set, but this Pokemon can touch it alright, which is Infernape. U-turn, Close Combat, Mach Punch, Flare Blitz, a pretty standard set, but maybe not standard EVs or item, which is the Pasho Berry, and with my 120 HP, I'm actually allowed to live a Life Orb Hydro Pump from Greninja, which is really cool. In return, I can kill with Close Combat, and if he's like a Focus Sash Greninja, I can kill with Close Combat plus Mach Punch. U-turn for general initiative, and Flare Blitz to hit like the Tornadus T really hard, kill the Ferrothorn. There's a chance where I don't kill the Ferrothorn with Close Combat, so I want to make sure that happens, and that's pretty much it. I'm kind of walled by Slowbro, but hopefully I can get Toxic Spikes up where it shouldn't be that big of an issue. The speed allows me to So the speed is also interesting. It's slower than his Infernape, so if he's like a Infernape got locked into a close combat, I can live the hit based on my HP and defense investment, and return my 108 attack. If he's a -1 defense with Infernape, I can kill in return with my own close combat. So I'm like purposely outslowing Infernape. If he does bring Infernape, it could be Scarfed, but I would imagine he wants more versatility, like a Life Orb, Gunk Shot, or Life Orb with a Flare Blitz to hit my team pretty hard if he goes down that route. But that's my Infernape set. And the last Pokemon is Suicune. Substitute Roar, Scald, Protect, Leftovers, more especially defensive spread to take Hurricanes a lot better. This definitely does not 3 KO, and even with Protect, it allowed me to even like live 4 Hurricanes. So hopefully I can pressure stall it a little bit. And Substitute is there because I have Toxic Spikes up, so if I can get behind a sub, I can really wear down his team in conjunction with Roar to try to spread Toxic Spikes and poison damage in case he is Defog Torn. I can try to get as much poison around as possible before he defogs him away. And Protect is to get Leftovers recovery, especially against the Tornadus T. So that's my team. Also, the speed allows me to outspeed Max Speed Ampharos. In case he brings that, might as well prepare for it. But that's my team. Let's see how well it does versus Lux. Alright, here we are for the match versus Lux. And as you can see with his team, he does not bring Ampharos or Mega Aldino. He brings the Infernape, which is I mean, it's not too surprising. It's definitely he has the 6 best members of his team on like the team that he brought right now, so I'm not too surprised he brought it, but I feel like between Mew, Clefable, Suicune, they all shut it down pretty well, so I'm not too afraid of Infernape. But Tornadus T, again, I predict like a Life Orb set, and that'll wreck pretty hard. Ferrothorn, I have fire coverage with Clefable, with Infernape, and that's it. So it's going to be a little tough to wear down the Ferrothorn, but like a Scald Burn would certainly help, and like Ice Beam will do a little bit of chip, but my Clefable should be able to take it on okay, and Scizor can take it on alright. Greninja's annoying with Toxic Spikes, but I feel like I can handle it between like the Mew, even the Scizor, unless he's like Life Orb, Pin Power, Fire, which wouldn't be the greatest. And Zygarde, I gotta make sure it doesn't win late game or break him out on my team early game with Choice Band. If he's late game, he's probably a Dragon's Z move. So I go into this match, he leads with Greninja, and I lead with my lead Infernape, which is actually perfect. It was not my Greninja, which has a Focus Sash. My lead was going to be Infernape. The only thing where it didn't match up well was the Tornadus, but I do have my switch into that, which is the Suicune. Everything else, like even a Slowbro, I could U-turn on it, and that would be okay. But Greninja's a great matchup because I can live any water move right now, and I can kill it in return with a close combat. So see what he goes for, and he goes for the Toxic Spikes to try to wear down my team, which definitely makes sense. It hits 4 out of the 6 members of my team, potentially 5 I have Unaware Clefable, which is definitely a solid bring against a Zygarde spread. But I am not afraid of this Greninja, so I can get a close combat off and basically kill it. I'm going to kill it if he stays in my next turn with Mach Punch. He gets Toxic Spikes up, but I feel like I can defog his away fairly easy with a Mega Scizor as long as he doesn't keep up offensive momentum. So I'm going to just go for that Mach Punch and kill this off. And he's going to bring in the Bandcenter and his team to Infernape offensively, which is Tornadus. And I don't have the greatest switch-ins. My only switch-in is Suicune. And that's going to get worn down a lot with this Hurricane Life Orb damage plus the Poison. I'm going to be brought down to close to 50%, which is really unfortunate. But Suicune's probably the least useful member on my team just because its role was primarily only to like Toxic Stall the team or to help handle this Tornadus at least somewhat. So I'm going to go for the Scald and hopefully get as much chip off as possible. A Burn would be ideal because otherwise you could just recover most of the one Scald damage off on me. And maybe if he misses a Hurricane, that'd be great. You go for the Taunt, maybe predicting a Calm Mind or a Rest at this point. But now I'm going to just go right for the Scald and I get a Burn, which is great. This will be doing 1/3 of his damage. Now I can kill it in 2 more hits, which he's not going to allow to happen. He's going to just U-turn out and recover a lot of that HP. But I'm freely okay with just getting Scalds off here. And he switches into his Ferrothorn. Now, at this opportunity, it's pretty easy for me just to go into my Scizor and just defog away these Toxic Spikes so I don't have to worry about them anymore. And Scizor's a great answer to Ferrothorn. However, I felt like this was a pretty safe play for him to go back into his Tornadus T, predicting me to go into my Scizor, and he would have Heat Wave and that'd be a big problem, just because even if I do stay in and like the worst thing I do is Scald or Hidden Power Fire to Ferrothorn, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of damage to the Tornadus. So I actually stay in here and go for the Scald, and hopefully get a Burn if he stays in with the Ferrothorn, which he does, and I do not get a Burn unfortunately, and he gets his Rocks up. So now I'm thinking, okay, he's probably not going to go into Tornadus at this point. He can just kill me with a Power Whip. So I'm going to go into my Scizor as he goes for the Power Whip. So that worked out for me. Again, I felt like that was also a pretty good position for him to predict me to go into Scizor for him to go into Torrent, but he didn't do it once. I'm still kind of scouting out how he plays, even though I played him once. So I go into Scizor here and get a pretty free defog off, or so I think. So I'm in pretty easily and going to get rid of the Rocks and the Toxic Spikes, and Toxic Spikes will not be coming back, which is awesome. Goes for Hidden Power Fire and does absolutely nothing. I only have max HP. I don't even have, and 4 special defense EVs, so I really don't have much at all. I guess he's probably a relaxed nature where he has a minus speed, or whatever nature is a plus special defense minus speed. So he's like 0 special attack, and yeah, that does nothing. So that's pretty funny. I can recover a Ruse pretty easily on this, And he goes in this Tornadus, which I'm definitely afraid of a Heat Wave. So I'm going to sack off my Suicune. It's not that helpful at this point in the match with how low HP it's at. And he can kill me with a Heat Wave plus like a U-turn most likely. Actually, probably not. But he kills me with a Hurricane, which is fine. And at this point, I'm going to bring in my Greninja, which can kill with an Ice Beam at this range, which is super nice. And he knows that, and he knows how important his Tornadus is. So he's going to switch out, and I get Toxic Spikes up, which will be great to wear down the Infernape, Zygarde, and the Slowbro. I'm going to switch my Infernape. That should be able to take any hit except for like a Bulldoze, which I would highly doubt that he would go for at this point. So I know he has Stealth Rock, Power Whip, and Hidden Power Fire. And I am like 99% sure he's going to have Gyro Ball to hit the Clefable. So Infernape is a really safe switch in here. You get to crit, which is a little unfortunate. That means I'll be taking a little more damage from a Flare Blitz, which I'm going to go for now and hopefully kill it. But he switches out and goes into a Slowbro, which is a good play, just because we find out that he's a Rocky Helmet set. So he's going to bring a lot of chip onto me. I'm not too worried about this, though, just because my Infernape's not terribly helpful in this matchup since the Greninja is down. Yes, I can kill the Ferrothorn, but otherwise I can't do a whole lot to his team with this set, especially because I'm not a full HP and cannot take on the Infernape 1v1 unless I go for like a little Mach Punch. So there's no point in me trying to U-turn out because he can just regenerate that damage off. So I can go into Clefable. He can't really do anything to me. If he starts setting up Calm Minds, I can Calm Mind against him. And even if he's Psyshock, he's poisoned, so I should be able to win that battle out. He switches out to the Torn, and I'm going to go for a Calm Mind. I felt that was pretty safe. I don't notice last move on the Tornadus. It's Taunt, Hurricane, U-turn. So I'm still expecting Heat Wave, but he could be Knockoff, which would be really unfortunate to lose my leftovers, because that would help me not beat the Slowbros easily or not beat the Zygarde. So it's kind of a risk for me to stay in, but I really don't have any other better switch-ins at this point in the match. So I'm going to just go for the Soft Boiled here. That was a pretty safe play for me to go for. He could go for Hurricane, rack up some Life Orb damage, and then recover it off. Though I guess there's a chance he could also confuse me. So maybe that wasn't the safest play. My safest play might have been just to Moonblast for damage. But I don't want to be in the case where I am potentially to a KO'd, which I think there's a chance that I still could be, just because Tornadus is super strong with Hurricane and Life Orb. So as you can see here, he's going to go for a Hurricane and do a little under half, which is crazy. So I'm a Clefable with max HP and a Calm Mind up. But in return, I do a ton of damage, and I'm pretty sure he wants to save this, but he could sack it off, and like, actually, there'd be no reason really for him to sack it off. No, there is. So he could sack it off here, and I'd be down to like 10-15%, and I wouldn't be able to Soft Boil because I am taunted. So we're kind of both don't want to stay in here. So he's going to switch out, and I want to switch out because I can still Soft Boil up on the Slowbro and the Ferrothorn, and maybe even potentially the Infernape, because I'm pretty confident he's a Choice Scarf set at this point in the match. So he didn't reveal Life Orb damage yet. So he's going to go into Ferrothorn, and I'm going to go into Scizor. This is a pretty good matchup for me, but I'm going to switch back into my Clefable just because I want to have an opportunity to Soft Boil it up. Based on the calc, I'm pretty sure he's especially defensive, and the most he can do with a Zero IV Gyro Ball is 52%, and I'm at 53%, so I should be able to live this hit, and I do. Even though he gets a max roll or just about a max roll, I do live that hit, which is great, and I can Soft Boil it up. If he got a crit, it would have been really hard for me to win that game, but unfortunately he does not for these next couple times, and I'm able to recover up to a pretty safe HP amount. He brings in his Tornadus here, which is fine. I'm pretty confident he's not like defogging, it's going to get rid of the hazards. So at this point in the match, he still has a chance to knock me out with Clefable with his Tornadus, but I don't think he's going to risk that roll just because I could kill him and return to where he could miss his Hurricane. So he's probably not going to Heat Wave. So I feel like that's why it's my best interest to switch out and go into my Mega Scizor. And he does just go for the U-turn, that's fine. Would have gotten a little bit of chip, but he did not want to risk a Hurricane miss there. He goes into Infernape, which is unfortunate. I really don't have the greatest switch-ins to this. Clefable's not healthy enough to take Flare Blitzes. Greninja could take a Flare Blitz, but he could easily U-turn or close combat, do a lot of damage. My Infernape's not terribly helpful in this match, but my Mew can still handle this Infernape really well because I'm at full HP. Even though I prefer to let it handle the Zygarde and even a Torn, I'm okay with letting my Mew take some damage in order to take on this Infernape better. So I'm going to go right into my Mew, and he goes for the U-turn. Not too surprising. Looks like he's Choice Scarf based on that damage there, and I can still stay in on this. It should, Life Orb should do a little over half at most a Mew, so I feel like I'm in good shape racking up a Life Orb plus burn damage to a Soft Boiled up, and hopefully he can also miss a Hurricane. There's a chance that he could taunt, but at the worst, he loses 6% of his health to burn, and I gain 6% with leftovers, so I'm fine with that play as well. So he goes for the Hurricane and does little over half, but he gets the Confusion, and I'm not able to recover up here because I hurt myself in Confusion. And this really puts me far back. I lose my best answer to Zygarde at this point unless I figure out a way to recover. My Infernape is lost his usefulness because the Greninja is dead. Greninja does not do anything to Slowbro or to Ferrothorn. My Clefable still wins, potentially. It would be ideal this Tornadus goes down because Taunt will be really annoying for the set. And my Mega Scizor is also at fine HP, but I don't want that to be my answer to Zygarde because I don't do a ton of damage in return to it. So I'm in not a great situation with this Tornadus on the Mew, and he could just easily U-turn out. So I'm going to go with my Greninja and preserve it. I do lose my Focus Sash and return Greninja, which isn't great, but at least I still have my Mew, and hopefully I can recover on the Ferrothorn or the Slowbro, or even an Infernape locked into close combat. He goes for a U-turn. It was a roll to kill in his favor, and he does get the roll. So he does kill my Greninja, which is unfortunate there, and he can send in his Tornadus. So I really don't have a defensive answer to take this on at this rate. So I'm going to go to my Scizor. I'm going to my Scizor because I have a very great chance. I think it even might be 100% to knock him out with a Bullet Punch, especially after if he goes for a Life Orb, Hurricane, or a Heat Wave plus burn damage. I should be able to kill. And I'm okay trading my Scizor for my Tornadus, because the Tornadus is the biggest thing in my way of my Clefable sweeping, besides maybe like a Zygarde set. So I'm gonna go for the Bullet Punch, and I do enough damage to where I kill him with burn plus Life Orb. He has hit you with, which I'm not surprised about at all, and he gets the kill on me, but I'm okay because the Tornadus is down finally. So I could go either into Clefable, Infernape, or Mew here, obviously. If I go into Clefable, it'd be pretty good against the Ferrothorn, and it'd be good against everything, except the Zygarde, at least somewhat, just because he could Dragon Dance and Moonblast isn't going to do a ton. If he gets a Dragon Dance up on me, he has a couple plays. He could probably Z Earthquake would kill anything on my team at that point, though Clefable does have a chance to live if Clefable's at full HP, but it's not. That's why I'm a little bit troubled there. Mew is really weakened, so I can't do anything to the Zygarde, and Infernape can only close combat and hopefully put it in range where my Clefable can Revenge Kill in return. So what I think my best play is to go into Mew. It's also non-Infernape's not my play, just because I would lose a lot of momentum I wouldn't lose a lot of momentum if it was Slowbro, just because Infernape could U-turn into Clefable and recover on that, no problem. But my Infernape I still feel like has a little bit more usefulness than the Mew, which is at such a low HP. So I'm going to sack off the Mew here. If he was Zygarde, he would probably be forced to kill me, and at that point I could go into Clefable and either predict him to go for the Z move and switch out, or go for the Moonblast and do a ton of damage to him in return. But if he sent out like the Ferrothorn or the Slowbro there, then I could have recovered on that. But no, he goes into Infernape, which was probably the right play, and he goes into Ferrothorn, which gives me a good opportunity to go into Clefable, and I can stall out his Gyro Balls with Soft Boiled. And he actually goes for Rocks here, which is a little bit weird. It probably would have been better to keep my Clefable as low as possible, but I can start sending Calm Minds up on this, and he's only going to be doing about half. And when I Calm Mind up, I'll be doing a lot more damage to the Zygarde. So this is pretty ideal for me. He's going to continuously Gyro Ball and not do a whole lot of damage to me. And this goes on for a couple plays of me just soft boiling until eventually he goes into the Infernape, predicting me to go for a soft boil. And at this point I know he has either Flare Blitz or Gunk Shot to hit me, so I can just recoverously go for the soft boil on this Infernape. until the poison damage eventually kills it. I want to stay and continuously soft boil. It's a little boring, I guess, and maybe frustrating on Lux's part to watch this, but it's my best way to stay as healthy as possible for the Zygarde in case he gets a +1 Dragon Ant up, because a +1 Z Earthquake has a chance to kill me. It's not a guaranteed kill, but it has a chance. So I don't want to allow that to happen if at all possible. He misses a gunk shot there. He's hit all his 80 and 70% accurate moves until that point, but it really didn't matter if he hit that or not. I was going to be at either 98 or 100 to 100% HP at that point. So I'm just continuously soft boiling until he's going to die to this next hit. And the gunk shot does not crit, which is very fortunate. And I'm able to kill off this Infernape with the toxic damage thanks to Greninja. So his only play is really go into Zygarde to have a Dragon Dance and maybe try to win. So he's going to go for that play here, and I'm going to go for the Moonblast. No point in me switching out. If he went for the Earthquake, it would have done a lot of damage, but it wouldn't have killed it. It would have done like 60 to 70-ish%. I still would have been a pretty healthy situation there, and he would have basically been in the same situation. He would have been about 5% HP after the poison damage here, and at that point I could have just switched out into my Infernape, sack that off as Zygarde goes down, and then bring back in my Clefable, and then beat the Ferrothorn plus the Slowbro at that rate. But he does not go for a Z move here. He still has it, hold on, and he has a chance to kill my Clefable, so there's no point in me staying in unless I'm very confident that he's a Ret Zygarde and not a Z Zygarde, but based on how he was playing it, I'm very, very confident it's a Z Zygarde. So I'm going to switch out and sack my Infernape to the Z move, and he does go for it. So very relieved. I kill off the Zygarde, and my Clefable at this point can take on the Ferrothorn plus the Slowbro. I can speed up this ending a little bit here. I'm going to go for Calm Mind as he has Psyshock, which does pitiful damage. It does not do much at all, and I can really wear down the Slowbro, and similar to like stalling out the Infernape, I can stall out the Slowbro and eventually kill the Ferrothorn with 2 flamethrowers. So how I drafted his team, which was designed to wear down teams with Toxic Spikes from Greninja, plus the defensive pressure of Clefable, plus Mega Scizor, plus pressure Suicune, as long as potential or defensive or offensive Mew, depending on the matchup. So, good game to Lux. I'm able to pull this one out 1-0. I feel like if I didn't have to sack my Mew, I could have had a chance at a better differential, just because this Calm Mind Clefable basically won from matchup, really. At the very beginning, I could have probably just set up and just had to worry about the Taunt Tornadus. But good game, Lux. I'm okay. 1-0 is still a win. So on to my next game. Alright, here we are for the second team builder in game versus Cavalier 16. If we win this game, we have a really good shot of making it past this pool, though we're not guaranteed. We could be guaranteed depending on how the other games go, but it's not 100% yet. So I'm going to try to win this game for sure and not have to worry about my third game as much. His team for most elite threatening is Feraligatr, Tapu Koko with Z moves, Heatran, Mega Abomasnow, Crocodile, Latios, Garbodor, and Hawlucha. And I really think those first 6 are going to come. Maybe Garbodor comes, but I feel like Mew and Mega Scizor just defog on it so easily that it's tough for him to really justify that. At Hawlucha, I have Mew, Clefable, Suicune, even Palossand to an extent, Mega Scizor, even Alolan Raichu resist both stabs. So it doesn't really do much besides Greninja and Infernape, so Hawlucha's a tough bring. So I really expect the first 6 to come. Gator is really annoying just because D-Dance or Sword Stance do a massive damage to my team. And like Suicune, who can handle it pretty well, like he can take hits, can't do much in return. And it has a chance to actually 2-hit KO Max Defense Clefable with Liquidation, which is crazy. That's why for Alligator first, over Tapu Koko. I have Palossand and Raichu, really drafted both of those to handle electrics, and especially Alolan Raichu to handle teams with Tapu Koko. Heatran, I just need ground coverage for, but I have Suicune, Greninja, Infernape, so I should be okay. Abomasnow is a decent wall breaker to Clef and Suicune, and even Mew if I don't have an offensive move to hit it, so I have to watch out for that. Everything else I have ways to handle it, like Crocodile and Latios. So the 3 months I feel like are most threatening to his team. One is Suicune. It handles the team besides Coco and Abomasnow really well. It can take hits from the Gator. Can scald the Gabota and beat it. Beats the Hawlucha. Can beat the Heatran unless it's like a Power Herb Solar Beam. And handles the Crook and somewhat handles the Latios. It's going to be hard to run a rest set just because he has a Coco, which doesn't allow you to go to sleep. But I can still handle his team alright. Raichu does pretty well this match. Just because I'm able to run Modest and still outspeed his entire team in the train, which is super cool. And just like normal Raichu, it has a lot of coverage. And finally, Mega Scizor does pretty well against Coco. Does good against Latios, good against Crook, good against Hawlucha. It does alright against Hawlucha. It can kill the Abomasnow pretty easily and can take hits from Feraligatr, weaken it at least. So Scizor does pretty well. So the first Pokemon I have, as you can see here, is Suicune. Calm Mind, Scald, Hidden Power Fire, and Roar. I was debating between Roar and Ice Beam on this set. Essentially, Ice Beam handles the Latios a lot better, and Roar handles the Feraligatr trying to set up a lot better. So that's why I went with Roar, because I think I have a little less answers for Feraligatr than I do for Latios. Calm Mind into Hidden Power Fire at +1 kills max HP Abomasnow after rocks, which I don't think he'll be expecting at all. And then Scald handles his team otherwise besides the Latios, because even if Feraligatr doesn't really want to switch into a +1 Scald because of the chance of burns, and I can always roar it out. Next I have Alolan Raichu. I still have a lot of speed on this set. It allows me to outspeed a max speed Crocodile, unless he's Scarfed obviously, but it will outspeed it in the terrain. But I should outspeed everything unless he brings a lot of speed on his Hawlucha set. Psychic is there for Coco and the Gabota and just stab in general, as well as Volt Switch. It handles the Feraligatr and the Hawlucha. Single Beam will hit the Latios and the Crocodile. It won't kill them, but with Life Orb Modest, base 95 special attack, it'll do a lot of damage, and I'll be outspeeding. And Hidden Power Ground is only for the Heatran, because Psychic does more to Coco than Hidden Power Ground. Next I have Mega Scizor with max HP, a lot of attack, and some bulk. And the attack is there to 2-hit KO the Tapu Koko after Stealth Rocks. And the bulk just rounds out Mega Scizor's stats. Next I have Mew with an offensive set this time with enough speed again to outspeed the Crocodile, similar to the Alolan Raichu outside of terrain. Earth Power Ice Beam Energy Bulb. Gradium Z Earth Power should kill the Coco or the Heatran. Ice Beam handles the Latios, the Crocodile, the Hawlucha, and the Energy Ball hits the Feraligatr. So the only Pokemon I'm not hitting with this set is Mega Abomasnow. But I have ways around it, like that Suicune. Even like a single beam from the Raichu, Bullet Punch from Scizor, I'll be okay. And this Mon handles Abomasnow alright as well. Scarf and Fernape, it's nice around Adamant, and then again, outspeeding the Crocodile. U-turn, Close Combat, Flare Buzz, Earthquake. Earthquake to do more damage to Heatran and Coco. And the last Pokemon I have is Unaware Clefable, which is a little bit of a weird bring just because he has Hail, Mega Abomasnow. But if I can get a Thunder Wave on the Feraligatr, then it's not as threatening at all. So I'm okay with that. But Feraligatr is still a threat to this team, but hopefully I can overwhelm it. So let's go right into the match. Alright, here we are for the second game versus Cavalier 16. He brought the 6 months I expected him to bring. Not too worried about that. We'll get right into the game. So he's going to leave a Crook, and I'm going to leave with my Mew. I'm pretty safe to Ice Beam. He's not going to be able to kill me unless he's like... Not even Choice Bandit, I don't think, kills me, which is crazy. Because I don't have a whole lot of bulk, but that's just how bulky Mew is in general. So Ice Beam's not going to kill, but it should do enough, and I should outspeed. Where I should kill him and return to like maybe losing half for 60% of my health. So I go for the Ice Beam and he crits with knockoff, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm in a kind of a tough spot. I can kill the Crocodile, which is great. But I don't expect him to sack his Crook here. I expect him to go into Abomasnow and get the Hail up, and he'll be okay with taking 30% from Ice Beam and I die to Hail. So I'm going to go for the Roost here, and he does go into the Abomasnow. So the crit kind of doesn't matter a whole lot. He gets a free switch in Abomasnow, but it's not like he can really stay in anyway, because I can have a fire move pretty easily. And he's going to scout that for the Heat Ran, which is a good play. And I'm going to recover up the full. I'm going to go for the Z move here. They killed a Heat Ran, and even if he switches out into like the Abomasnow predicting that, if he goes into Latios, that'd be unfortunate, but I would still have my Ice Beam, and yeah, he would just be forcing a lot of switching, and I would be okay with that. But if he goes to Abomasnow, then I'll be able to get enough chip off damage, which is like the same amount of damage as like Stealth Rocks would do. So that way my +1 Suicune could kill max HP Abomasnow with Hidden Power Fire, which is my goal to take out this Abomasnow. So he is in range of that unless I get like a min roll. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to go into Scizor here, but he goes into Latios, which is pretty good for me, but I don't want to take a Hidden Power Fire because it could kill if he's Life Orb. So he's going to go into Heat Ran, and I'm going to switch out as well. And the Clefable, I'm guessing he doesn't have Life Orb, Hidden Power Fire, which is good to know. Maybe Soul do. I'm okay with staying in Clefable in this Heat Ran because I can get rocks up, and even like a Flash Cannon is not going to do much. And he goes for the sub. And I'm fine with this. Mew can take it on, no problems. So I'm going to go, or Suicune, sorry. Can take it on, no problems. So I'm going to go into Suicune. Goes for Magma Storm, doesn't do a whole lot of damage at all. So I don't think he has a whole lot of special attack investment. So I'm guessing it's like a max HP, max speed set. So I'm going to go for the Roar here to get break his sub in case he protects. But he goes to Abomasnow, which is great. And it's going to be like a 27% after rocks. So I'm okay with this. He brings in the Crook. I could kill, but I really don't want him to take off a lot of my HP. So I'm going to actually go into my Scizor because I don't feel like it's as useful because the Abomasnow is weakened. I feel like Suicune has more usefulness to take on the Feraligatr. At this point, I'm going to Mega, and I predict him to go into Heat Ran, and I'm going to go for the U-turn. If I Bullet Punch there, and he goes into Heat Ran, I lose a ton of momentum. Like, I go into Suicune, I take Rocks plus Hail damage plus Magma Storm, and I'm going to be like at 40%. If I go into Mew, I'll be like at 40-ish%, though I'm in pretty good position to Earth Power or Roost. I can't go into Fernape, Clefable. I could go into, but it's unaware, so I'll be taking Chip as well, and it'll weaken my best Feraligatr answer. So I just have to stay in here. I could have Bullet Punched, but I also don't want to give the Heat Ran a free switch in. So I do eat a Fire Fang, which hurts. I live and kill it, but outside of maybe getting a Bullet Punch off later in the match, the Scizor is pretty much useless. Which is unfortunate, but I really didn't have any other play. I'm going to go in Fernape and keep up the offensive momentum. He takes a while to decide on Feraligatr, which should have been an obvious play. But I feel like he took this long because he was trying to bluff that he doesn't have the Aqua Jet. I feel like waiting that long actually made me more convinced that he has Aqua Jet. So I'm going to switch out into my Suicune, because my Suicune's a pretty safe answer regardless, because it's my answer to Feraligatr. He goes for a Dragon Dance, and it would be perfect. But he goes for the Aqua Jet, which is good to know that he has it. But I'm down to 50%. And in exchange, he's going to be also weakened, which is cool for maybe later on in the match. So he's going to switch out, not wanting to take a hit. But I'm going to go for the Roar. He might predict I have Hidden Power Grass and might be able to take KO, but he can't do much in return. But I unfortunately roar him into the Coco, which is not great at all. So I'm going to just sack off my Scizor here and find some usefulness. But in exchange, I can bring in my threat, the Alolan Raichu, on a team without a Electric Train Setter, but I drafted it for this instance of other teams with having Tapu Koko, so it's going to be a major threat, especially because their Crocodile is down. So I'm going to go for the Psychic, which was my hardest hitting move to hit the Koko. Then I go for my hardest hitting move to hit this Latios, which is Signal Beam. He keeps switching, keeps getting a Chip Rock damage. I'm okay with this. That damage shows that he's probably like a max HP, max speed set. I think it would have done even less damage, to be honest, if he was especially defensive. But again, I'm going to go for the Hidden Power Ground here. Don't really have to predict the Latios. And I killed a Heat Ran. He did not expect that whatsoever. The crit, I don't think mattered because I didn't think he had much special defense bulk. And I killed from that range with a modest Life Orb Hidden Power Ground. So the Heat Ran goes down, and that's a pretty nice sign for me. His team is really weakened. And if I bring my Raichu in again on the after the Koko kills something, then I'm in great shape. He goes for the Roost with the Latios because it was his best play because Single Beam wasn't going to do enough and I would kill myself to Life Orb damage. Goes for the Psy Shock, does a lot of damage to me, but I'm able to 2-hit KO in return potentially. I could somewhat stall this out with a Moonlight, but he could predict that and go into Abomasnow, and it'd be a weird situation because I don't have a fire move for it. So I'm okay with killing the Latios in exchange for being weak with my Clefable, just because I don't think the Feraligatr really has a great chance to set up versus the rest of my team. Because I'm not going to let it set up on my Infernape Bulb, just U-turn every time with that. Because the Abomasnow is no weakened, I'll be able to kill it U-turn. So my Clefable's weakened, he brings in his Feraligatr, which makes a lot of sense. And he's going to kill me with Liquidation. That's fine, not a problem with me. I'm going to bring in my Mew, and at this point I can kill with an Energy Ball unless he has a lot of bulk. So I go for that, and I get a crit, which is unfortunate. I don't think he would have had a whole lot of bulk, but if he did, that crit definitely mattered. I'm sorry about that. But even if I didn't kill, he wouldn't be able to kill me in one hit, and then he would have the Aqua Jet, and if that kills me, he would kill himself. So I'd be training the Mew for the Feraligatr, and at that point, Raichu still wins this game in the end. So actually, it might have been better if he killed my Mew there after I went for the Energy Ball, just because I felt like Raichu would be able to get a 3-0 at the end. So I'm going to Ice Beam here, not trying to predict and get differential or anything, just because he could have subbed there and maybe taken out a couple Mons instead. So it was safe just me for Ice Beam, keep him low, and bring in my I'm going to bring in my Infernape to kill, just because if I go on a Raichu, there's a chance I don't kill the Tapu Koko from where it's at, even after a round of rocks, like 76%. There's not a chance I guaranteed kill with Psychic. So I go to safe throw out, kill with Flare Blitz. There's a chance I knock out the Koko, but it's a pretty low roll for me to actually do so, and I do not. And I also don't kill him after the hill, but that's okay because my Raichu can come in the electric terrain and kill this Tapu Koko. It's a good game, Cavalier 16, 2-0 plus 3 right now, and I'm actually not guaranteed to make it past, because there's a chance where there's a 3-way tie with 3 teams with 2 wins. So I do have to try to win this third game, which is unfortunate, but that's fine. I'm going to try to win just about any game I play anyway. So good game, and on to game 3. All right, here we are for my third team builder and match versus Ethan. So I found out this is like the last match of the pools, and if we either win, we obviously advance, or if we lose 2-0 or better, we still advance based on differential. Because I didn't have great differential, even though I won 2 games. First game partially because of the Mew, and the second game I was okay with that outcome there. So I'm trying to get 4 kills. If I can get the win, that'd be even nicer, but just trying to get 4 kills here. His team is extremely offensive. His team is Hoopa U, Zeraora, Necrozma, Alolan Ninetales, Munchlax, Mega Steelix, Landorus T with Z moves, and Tyranitar. I have Landorus T is not as big of a threat just because I feel like Mew, Clefable, Suicune, Greninja, even Infernape to an extent, and Mega Scizor all can handle the Landorus T pretty well. So I'm not terribly threatened by like a setup set, and defensive is not much of a threat at all versus this team. But Hoopa U is pretty scary. If he goes behind Veil, that'd be super annoying because it has such high special defense. And if he's a Trick Room set, then that'd be a major problem because he could be Life Orb and like Dark Pulse plus Fire Punch plus like Gunk Shot would do a lot of damage to my team. Zeraora is faster than everything that I have, though I feel like it should be walled by either Clefable or Mew, depending if either are defensive. Necrozma is annoying, so it'd be Calm Mind or Autotomize, depending. He's not Z-moves, which is nice, but he has a lot of options with his potential sets. And Alolan Ninetales is annoying with Veil, but I do have Scizor to pretty much hard counter it. He has Munchlax. I can't overlook it in prep. So I will have ways to beat that, as well as Mega Steelix isn't the most threatening thing, but it could be an issue, especially if he brings Tyranitar, because Mega Steelix gets Sand Force, and all its Ground Rocket Steel moves, I believe, get boosted. Tranitar, though, I feel like it's a really bad matchup, and I don't think he's going to bring it, but I have ways around it just in case. The 3 months I feel like are pretty good versus team are Greninja, just because I can get Toxic Spikes up, and he really only has Landorus T as a defogger, and he's not going to use it as a defogger this game. Clefable does well just because I can pretty much design it to wall anything I want to, except maybe except probably the Hoopa-U. I can't design to wall it just because it can have Gunk Shot, and that'll 2-hit KO, so I guess I can rely on it missing, but I won't be able to kill it Moonblast. And the third mon it does pretty well is Mew, just because it does well every match, but it can pretty much shine in like an offensive or defensive role. He has ways to stop both types of sets, like somewhat, but both sets could work really well, so I have to decide if I want to go more offensive or defensive with Mew. So the first sets you see here is Greninja, Focus Sash with Toxic Spikes, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, U-Turn. This will guarantee I can get Toxic Spikes turn 1, and that'll wear down everything but the Mega Steelix and the Landorus T. And maybe the Munchlax if he's a rest set, which he probably would be. Ice Beam is to hit the Landorus T and kill it. Dark Pulse will do more than a half the Necrozma, and U-Turn to get out of there. The speed allows me to outspeed a +1 Tyranitar, which, I mean, I won't hit it super hard besides maybe a U-Turn, but it's might as well have that speed investment on there, because I won't be outspeeding a Zeraora anytime soon with this set. But I should outspeed everything else on his team. Next I have a Clefable, a mixed defensive spread, which gives me enough special defense to take 2 Psychics from Hoopa, and the rest in physical bulk, unless he's like a Life Orb Hoopa, then that would be a problem. But he could bring it, but I would wear him down a lot. He would probably trade 1-for-1 with Hoopa, which I'm okay with, because I'm just trying to get 4 kills in this match at least. Stealth Rock, so again, I don't think he has a way of getting rid of rocks besides Landorus, and he's not going to bring it in that role. And getting Stealth Rocks will weaken a lot of his threats, mainly the Ninetales will be less of an issue. And then I have Ice Beam there for the Landorus T, and the other 2 moves are straightforward. Unaware would be nice with all the setup options that he has, but because he has Tyranitar plus Alolan Ninetales, I won't be adding great recovery with Moonlight because I can't run Soft Boiled with Unaware. Next Pokemon I have is Mew. I did decide to go with a offensive set, Rock Polish Swords Dance, Ice Beam, and Leech Life, so I am adamant with Ice Beam, but Ice Beam, if he's just a standard offensive Landorus, will kill after rocks, which is super nice, and Ice Punch doesn't have a chance, or doesn't have a great chance to kill at -1 attack. But Rock Polish Swords Dance, depending on, try to set one up or the other based on the state of the opponent's team, and Leech Life recovers a lot of damage. Like, I'll be able to recover on Necrozma, Tyranitar, Zeraora, Hoopa, Munchlax I can set up on unless he's Whirlwind. I won't do a lot of damage to Alolan Ninetales, but a +2 Bugny MZ should do decent damage if he doesn't have Veils up. And I won't be doing a whole lot to Steelix, but I probably do more with Ice Beam than even like a +6 Leech Life. But I have ways around a Mega Steelix on my team. One of them kind of being a Choice Band and Infernape. I don't think I'll be able to kill a Mega Steelix, but I would do like upwards of 70-80% to it. U-Turn, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, Mach Punch, pretty straightforward. Mach Punch actually kills a Tyranitar, which is super cool. Flare Blitz does like 70-ish%, up to 80% to a not defensive Landorus T, and it'll to a KO defensive Landorus, which is just insane because Landorus is known for being so bulky. This allows me to outspeed like the Hoopa, allows me to outspeed Landorus T. It won't outspeed the Alolan Ninetales, I'm adamant, but Mach Punch should be doing a lot of damage in return. And I have a pretty good answer to Alolan Ninetales, which is this Mega Scizor set. Defog, Bullet Punch, Superpower, Roost. Superpower is there for like the Munchlax plus the Mega Steelix primarily. It also hits the Tyranitar, if I will be able to outspeed and kill it unless he's a Tropical Berry set. Bullet Punch to kill the Ninetales, which is crazy. And that's basically it. Also 2-hit KOs the Hoopa-U, which is nice. Defog, which is a pretty hard counter to Alolan Ninetales, and a Roost for longevity. And last I have Suicune, which is a little bit of an interesting set just because Zeraora does a lot of damage to my team. I guess the mons I had left were Suicune, Palossand, or Alolan Raichu. I didn't like the passiveness of Palossand in this matchup, Alolan Raichu felt pretty countered between Landorus T. Necrozma doesn't really care about its moves. Tyranitar can pursue trap it. Zeraora is faster in it, so it'll do a lot of damage in return. Hoopa U is a dark type, and Mega Steelix and Munchlax. So Raichu didn't have a good match, so I had to go Suicune. Going Mirror Coat, Scald, Roar, Single Beam, so hopefully I catch him going for a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt, and then I can return kill with a Mirror Coat, and just hope he doesn't go into Hoopa U and absorb that Mirror Coat, but if he does, I should be able to kill or do a lot of damage with Signal Beam. I 2-hit KO Hoopa U at least with Signal Beam, which will be cool, and with my speed I will outspeed it. I do have Roar, which kind of seems weird, but that's just in case like a Necrozma or Landorus T gets too far out of hand with boosts. So again, trying to get 4 kills, but hopefully winning this match, so let's see how it goes. Alright, here's my team against Ethan. As you can see, did not bring the Munchlax or the Tyranitar. Not surprised that he really didn't bring either. Munchlax probably wasn't like the 5th most threatening thing, but it was something I had to consider for sure. So looking at this matchup, I know I want to lead with Greninja and get my Toxic Spikes up right away, so I'm going to do that right now. And he leads with the Hoopa. I'm fine with this. I can live any hit, obviously, because I have Focus Sash. And he goes for the Gunk Shot and does a lot. At least I know he's not Scarfed, which is good to know. So I should outspeed and kill with a U-turn here. So that's what I'm going to go for now. And he goes and has a Focus Sash. Now, I still stand by this play 100%. It might look weird, but I go out in the Scizor, and I'm pretty confident he's going to go for the Fire Punch. But I feel like I really don't have any other way to play around this. I don't want Clefable weakened a lot. Obviously, he can Gunk Shot and kill me. But I really need that for Landorus and Zeraora. I don't want the Mew weakened a whole lot because it's my setup mon, and I won't be recovering a lot of HP with Leech Life until I get a +2 attack boost. Infernape can take a Fire Punch, obviously, but Infernape is a really nice wall breaker in this matchup, especially to handle the Landorus, the Mega Steelix, even the Alolan Ninetales. And the Suicune is basically my primary, surprise answer to Zeraora, and also handles the Landorus T and can roar to get stuff out of hand. Mega Scizor is really nice to prevent Veil from going up, but otherwise it doesn't do a lot. It 2-hit KOs the Hoopa, but otherwise Superpower is going to do okay damage to Steelix, but that's about it. So that's why I was okay with going into my Mega Steelix and my Mega Scizor, and hopefully he doesn't Fire Punch, but he does. But I was okay with this because I didn't want anything else to get weakened. I can bring in my Suicune here. So the whole point of this is to bring in Suicune, outspeed and kill, and then hopefully bait the Zeraora to come in, go for a Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, and then I can kill that with a Mirror Coat. So that's the play here. And he comes in and he goes for the knockoff. I felt like that was a little bit of a weird play, just because I thought an electric move was really safe, because I can't switch an Infernape or Greninja on that. Mew's going to take decent damage, unless I'm defensive, I guess. But even then, knockoff wouldn't have done a ton. And then Clefable, I guess knocking off on it would have been okay. But I thought an electric move was pretty safe there. But I go for the Mirror Coat, and obviously it does not work, so he goes for knockoff. But at least I know he's adamant physical based off that damage, so I can go right into Clefable and wall this set pretty easily. And he goes for the Plasma Fists, and it does about 40%, so I can recover up on this, and that's great news for me. Ideally, I can try to get rocks up, but I want to make sure I'm healthy as possible. I probably want to stay at least above 80% to be able to take on this Zeraora later on in the match. I'm at about 80% right now, so I feel like it's a good opportunity for me to get up my rocks, and he actually switches out into a Steelix, which is the perfect opportunity for me. He'll probably get his own rocks up, but I can get Switch Initiative, and my Suicune is my best play here. But I go into Greninja, predicting him to go for rocks, but he actually does go for the Earthquake and knocks me out, which is a good play. So now I go into Suicune. I forgot I had that fodder in Greninja. I can go for Scalds and maybe 2-hit KO depending on his spread. And it looks like I might be able to 2-hit KO, but that burn definitely ensures it for me, which is great. An Earthquake would have done a lot. 40%, that's definitely an offensive Mega Steelix. It's no joke, and it's a great value for 6 points that he got it for. But I'm able to kill with my Suicune, which is great. Brings in the Ninetales, which is a lot bigger of an issue because my Mega Scizor is down, which is basically a wall to this Ninetales. But I just want to weaken as much of his Pokemon as possible, partially because I only need to kill 4 monsters to automatically advance, but also to maybe get an endgame sweep with Mew a little bit more realistic later. So he freeze dries as he's wasting a little bit of Aurora Veil turns, but he still has plenty to do a lot of damage, so it's not that big of a deal. Kills me with Moonblast, but I weaken it severely, so that way I can revenge kill, or I can set up with my Mew, which is the best play just because I can Rock Polish, and I'll be able to outspeed everything on his team at this point. So he's got to figure out what to go into. Now he does have Aurora Veil up, so he should be able to take pretty much any hit the Mew can go for, even a Z move. Except maybe like Landorus with like a Z-Ice move. But as you can see here, he brings in a Necrozma. Now, I'm going to go for the Leech Life here and not go for my Z move. I do this because if he's like Life Orb with Signal Beam, I will be able to live the hit after the HP recovery I get from Leech Life. And if I go for the Z move, I won't be able to kill, and he'll probably kill me with a Leech Life or with a Signal Beam after Hail, which I don't want to happen. So I'm gonna go for a regular Leech Life, and then maybe go for the Z move after that. So I do not too much damage at all. Based on that damage, it's probably max special attack, max speed, but he's weakness policy, and that's a little bit of a problem, as he kills me with a Signal Beam, and I'm not in great shape. But again, I just need to get one more kill, and I secure me advancing. So I know going into my Infernape and going for the Flare Blitz will ensure that I'll be able to kill with a Flare Blitz after the poison damage. So that's why I'm going to go into Infernape and not U-turn. I could have U-turn there, sacked the Clefable, and then maybe had a chance to win at the end if I got a crit on the Landorus, but I felt that was like a little bit too risky to maybe not get this fourth kill here. So I do get the kill with the Necrozma with the Infernape after the poison damage, and actually I'm in pretty good shape to win this game. He goes for the knockoff and gets rid of my leftovers, but that's fine. I have no reason not to just continuously soft boil until he dies to a poison damage. Now he has leftovers, so he's only losing 6% of damage each turn. And so it's going to take a while, but I have enough PP with soft boil to outstall this. So I'm going to go a couple turns in. He continues the Plasma Fist. That's his only play. He's got to hope to like crit a couple times in a row or something, or crit me at the end and give himself a chance to win with a Z Earthquake or Z Fly with the Landorus to try to kill me, because I should be able to kill with a Ice Beam after rocks. So he finally reveals that he has a bulk up, and as I was just continuously soft boiling, so once he bulks up, I don't have a chance to win this game because Plasma Fist is going to do way too much damage. So I'm forced to just kill the kill what's in front of me with Moonblast, and then he can revenge kill with the Landorus with Earthquake or a Z-Fly or whatever Z move he wants. So I do lose this game 1-0, but I did get at least 4 kills in this match, so I was guaranteed to move on to the second round of pools, which was my goal in this game, was to try to advance. So I was able to do so. 2-1 plus 2 doesn't look that great, but I'm pretty satisfied. I got enough wins and enough differential to advance, and that's all I was really looking for. So hopefully round 2 pools will go just as well, but probably a little bit more tougher competition. But until next time, later guys.